Hi, friends. This is our third time doing our vlog. We are back, and we are happy to be back. Are we happy?
I have not known Rocky.
Okay.
I thought you were
Nope.
looking
We're
at how
happy
I
to
was
be back.
smiling.
No, you're good. We're happy to be back. We are extremely happy to be back today because today is our anniversary. I was trying to time it. Yes, today is our anniversary, and on top of it being our anniversary, we also had the pleasure of taking our son to go be with his dad for the summer, and that always brings different emotions, different expressions of those emotions and whatnot. If you hear the bell and something being crazy, that's our cat, who apparently we didn't decide to lock up.
Kitty cat!
My cat. Hey, so, babe, how do you feel when this time of year comes? Like, what is the feeling like when you are, anticipating this, school's winding down, and you know that this is inevitable, and you're like having to get ready to, do that transition? How you feel?
Sad. I try to pretend like it's not really gonna happen. Like I just tell myself that like every day he's not leaving today. He's not leaving today. He might not leave. He might not leave.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know you told yourself that he might not leave.
I mean, I just don't really think about it. I'm just like, oh, maybe he won't, maybe he will. I mean, I know it happens every year. It sucks every year, but
Yeah.
I just don't really. He's always excited about it though, so.
Yeah, he's always very excited. Always, all the time.
I probably shouldn't tell him that I'm like sad about it.
Well, I mean, I think it's both though. Like,
Both what?
I mean, it's like both and. Like, I think that, you don't want to overdo it and tell him, oh, I'm so sad, oh my God, I'm so sad, all the time. But you also don't want to be like, woo! You know what I'm saying? Like, get yourself out of here. But yeah, no, I mean, I understand. In
How do you
some
feel?
fashion. I feel like it's changed over the years. So, I mean, we've been married 3 years, so, 3 years of marriage.
It's changed over the years.
It has changed, though. It's changed because I went from, like, almost this, like, hate almost for him leaving, and, like, it's not fair, and this is not, like, I don't know. It was, like, almost if I had the power wanting to do whatever I could to not make it happen. And I think that has changed drastically just because of the dynamic. And I think that came out of a place of insecurity, of not knowing who I was in Jaden's life or the value that I had. So it was almost more of like a jealousy where it's like I have to be a dad and I have to work harder because I'm coming into the picture later on, and it's like, so it was always kind of that tension when it came to, the battle of the dads or whatever like that.
So you don't feel jealous anymore?
No, I mean, it subsided probably how many times have he's been out?
Well, living together 3 years.
Yeah, but I feel like I've seen him leave before we got married.
Yeah, one summer.
Yeah. So I mean, like.
So 4 times.
Yeah, so I feel like the second time it kind of eased up a little bit last year.
No, you were mad the second time too.
Do you think so? I don't remember. I know that as it got closer, like this year, I think that it was probably more.
You were like,
Just like,
oh, see ya. You didn't even. I was like, so
No,
sad.
I mean, I'm just content. I feel like I'm not questioning. Hi, I'm not questioning who Jay is in my life right now, and I really don't like this. I don't like this at all.
Doesn't like the cat.
I don't like this at all. I'm not questioning who Jay is in my life anymore. I am content knowing.
Are you not questioning it because you aren't questioning it, or because you feel like he's not questioning it?
It might be a mixture of both. I think, for a while we were just kind of trying to feel each other out, and nah.
No, what?
Well, it wasn't really. I won't say feel each other. I feel like
making.
No. I'm saying okay. So let me explain myself. When I say feeling each other out, I'm not saying feeling each other out overall. Like me and Jay had a natural connection from the jump. What I'm saying is that the part that we had to kind of tread lightly on is the situation with the dads. Like he was afraid to call me dad in front of his dad. You know what I'm saying? Like
Because he was also nervous. He felt bad talking about his dad in West Virginia in front of you because he thought that it would hurt your feelings.
Right, and so it's like, and I think the interaction between his dad and I has kind of ended some of that tension, and it's also ended a lot of the tension in me where it's something that I didn't want to do, and I was hesitant to do, but I.
Well, explain that because I know what you're talking about. The interaction between you and his dad in West Virginia.
Okay. Let me see. Okay. Well, I feel like overall, like my interaction with his dad in West Virginia, it started off really shaky just because in my life, what I've experienced is that I haven't seen a stepfather-father relationship that is cohesive, that kind of works together, and so, you know, I naturally took the role that I felt like I would take, whether I had seen, you know, a stepfather and father relationship be bad or just by assumption. And, you know, and I took on that role. And at some point, it just was like, you know, this is not going to be good for Jaden in the long run. For him to have to try to choose between which dad and all that other stuff. And I think it, you know,
But there was a time where you thought it was good for him?
I don't even think I thought it was good for him. It's just I didn't care. I was just being selfish. Yeah. I was more concerned about how I felt and how it was making me feel than it was.
And you would get mad at me when I would say that to you.
Well, yeah, I would. And I get it. I'm sorry. I've apologized.
Like you haven't. This is the first
I'm
time
sorry. I'm sorry that you were right.
I'm sorry that you were right.
But yeah, so it was hard. It was difficult, and you know, as you know, we're a Christian family, and one of the major parts in that was, you know, God is love, and you know, who am I to show my son, you know, resentment or hatred or whatever towards someone that he loves? And if this is something that he loves, then that's something I should be able to get behind. So. And that's kind of the thought. It was just trying to love even when I didn't feel like it. And now I love his dad. I love him.
Yeah. Well, I was very much caught in the middle of that.
Oh. How?
Because I'm just like super logical and holy. So I was able to be fine. And having to listen to you.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Having meet like the days I'm just like crying. Are you what you're talking about?
No.
Oh, okay. We won't talk about that.
I'm saying like when I understood that already. I understood that it did not matter how I felt about the situation or if I was hurt about the situation. My job was not to protect myself. My job was to do what was in Jaden's best interest.
Yep. Okay.
And so I was always trying to show you what I felt was the way to act in Jaden's best interest, and you did not like it.
Well, I didn't like it because I felt like it was unfair. Like, you've had time to develop that relationship, and well, if we're going to talk about it, let's talk about it. I felt like, you know, you had time to develop that relationship with him. You had time to be his mother, with Jaden.
What are you saying?
I'm saying that you had that dynamic already figured out for
You're
5
saying
years.
I already knew who I was to him?
Yes. I don't feel like no one can come to you and tell you you're not his mother because you birthed him.
Because I what?
Birthed.
I thought you said birth.
No, you birthed him. And so, you know, so that's not something that I think people would try to, I mean, anyway, all I'm trying to say is that I had to grow into a place. I had to catch up to where you already were in my mindset.
Oh, you think you've caught up?
Heck yeah, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm right on your tail right now. I'm so caught up to you. It's ridiculous. No. No, but I did. I had to try to catch up. I had to play catch up. It was my first time entering into marriage and fatherhood all at the same time. I was entering into a situation that was already established and trying to find out where I fit in that place.
You say it's already established though, but it wasn't really 100%
I mean, well-
established. We had our routine and we had our way of doing things,
Yeah.
and we had our expectations already set up. I knew my expectation was for him to see his dad and have a relationship with his dad, and that I was gonna make sure that that happened.
Right.
And I know not everyone may feel that way about their ex and their children. Like, they might not always feel like, oh, they want to facilitate that relationship.
Right.
I know a lot of people might feel like they kind of want to not get in the way of it, but not really help it at all. It's just
Mhm.
kind of, it's on them and whatever. But you may not have necessarily agreed with that mentality, or I think you agree with it. You agree with helping Jaden have a relationship with his father now, and you agreed with it, I think, in theory before,
Mhm.
but in practice, what it meant for your life, what it meant was that Jaden would get really excited to go see somebody that wasn't you,
Yeah.
and that Jaden would be leaving.
I don't even think it was
for-
someone. I just think it was his dad. Like, I wouldn't be tripping if he was gonna go see, his grandparents, or he was gonna go see. I think it just had to be. It was the battle of the dads. It was like, it felt like someone was occupying a space that I felt I should be occupying, and so it felt like it didn't seem like we could share that space.
So do you feel like, what do you think it looks like? Are you sharing a space together?
No, I
Or do
think-
you have different
we have different
roles?
spaces. I think we have different roles. I mean, we can share the name, but I think that it works better if we can work together. And I think that where my space is we each, like, when you live a life, there are people that come along and teach you different things in life. And those people who influence you the heaviest have different parts of your life that builds up who you are. And I feel like I am playing the role that I need to play in his life to build that part of his character, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
His dad is playing the part of his, playing his role in his life to build up that part of who he needs to be. You're playing, you know what I'm saying? And if anything, it's a team situation. If I think about team, Golden State Warriors, let's go. If I think about teams, I'm thinking about, like, a center can't be the point guard. The center has to do what the center can do, and he affects the game in the way that he affects the game by playing his part. And I think that that's something that we're learning, and not that we've perfected, but that we have to continue to be a team. So we're approaching 15 minutes.
Oh my
almost.
gosh!
So
Nobody's gonna want to watch this.
everyone's gonna watch it. Listen. So what are your final thoughts? Closing thoughts. Go.
You can
What do
first. I don't-
You want me to go
I
first?
can't wrap it up.
Closing thoughts for anyone who is a step parent coming into a blended family, whether you have children or don't. I would recommend setting a guideline or have an end game. And when I say that, I mean, like, for me, the bare minimum was the foundation in Christ that I had, was trusting what God has already given us, what God has already taught. If loving, the other person, and it may be different in any situation, but if this is something you can try, I would encourage you to try that. Try loving harder and seeing how you guys can work as a team.
Okay. I would say the same, I guess. But and I guess in loving, don't just think about your own feelings and what is going to be best for your feelings.
Listen, I could have said that on my part. What are you feeling?
I wasn't saying it to you. I was saying it.
Me trying to throw shots.
I'm not.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Can that be my thing?
Yeah, go
You
ahead,
made
bro.
the cat freaking run away.
Okay, sorry.
That was my point.
Don't worry about your own feelings. Well, this is our anniversary edition of Blended Families. What they didn't tell you.
But we wish we knew.
There you go.
They didn't. That's freaking bad. Okay.
All right. Love you. This is
Love
where
you
we
too.
kiss. We kiss right here.